Good morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another Nerd Tube review of Titans Season 3, Episode 11. I am Cousin Cheeto, and I am joined by two of my cohorts. We're going to be talking about the DC Universe. First off is the Mask of Madness. How you doing there,
All
buddy?
right, I'm all right.
All right, and then down below there is the good old V-Man. How you doing?
Oh, finer than frog hair, my friend.
Finer than frog. Okay. So as I said, we're getting towards the latter end of Titan season 3, and we've been talking a lot this season about the show. Um, Last week, and I think we're having trouble with Facebook. So I don't know. We'll have to try to fix that later on. Okay, so what we have going on is we're coming towards the latter end. Things are starting to come to fruition. You've got Scarecrow and Jason Todd living in Wayne Manor. You've got the Titans on the run, and you've got Blackfire stealing Starfire's powers. Superboy is jonesing for more Blackfire. Blackfire. And Beast Boy met up with Raven in an abandoned warehouse. And Donna Troy's back. So you're all caught up from last week's episode. Last week's episode I thought was actually a pretty weak. It brought up a lot of plot holes that we talked about last week. So, but I kind of want to get your guys' opinions because I think Gary, you were with us last week, right? When we talked Titans.
I was, yeah.
Okay. V-Man, what do you think is going on with how do you feel this last episode leading into this episode was for you of Titans?
Well, I think the part with Red Hood and Nightwing, I felt like that was the most exciting part. The Scarecrow stuff, I could kind of leave it. Didn't really do much for me. I felt like the earlier stuff with Scarecrow was more interesting. Delving into his psychology isn't really all that good to me. I'm not sure the sense of direction they're going with the quote unquote big bad. The Starfire stuff still doesn't hold any interest to me, and it's sad because now that they're delving into the Starfire stuff, I'm still bored as shit every time she appears on screen. And I love the actress; it's just doesn't hold any interest to me. And I think this episode is kind of an example of a problem with the series is they keep jumping around with so many different characters. It's kind of hard to stay connected to any one of them. I wish they would just pick a direction, stick with it, and stay. Like the episode with Raven, even though that was kind of out of nowhere and left field, I was really interested in that because they stayed with her the entire time, and I wish they would do that with this episode. I just don't give two shits about Starfire, and it's sad because it could be a really interesting storyline if they were to stick with it.
Okay. Well,
But
go ahead, Gary.
no, I was going to say to V-Man, I mean, could this side plot not tie into developmental for Blackfire to maybe be like a main antagonist for next year or next season, or maybe like how and she'll maybe make Starfire a more compelling character. I'm just speculating because again I do see problems with this particular series. And again, I'm going to go into the goods and bads I see it, but I'm just generalizing asking.
Uh, I I mean, that's really the only direction you can go. Because I mean, look what they did with Jason. They had Jason going all the way back to season one, being kind of a fuckhead, and then they had him doing the same thing with Deathstroke. Building that character. So that's really the only thing you can do with Blackfire. Um, but I'm just saying, like every time she's on screen, I kind of just feel like, okay, piss break. And I feel like when I come back, I feel like I haven't missed anything, and that's really sad when you know, I feel like you could go several episodes without doing anything with this character and you still haven't missed anything. And that says something. So I feel like, kind of like with Discovery, part of Discovery's problems, Star Trek Discovery is they jump around a lot. And then by the time you get back to it, you've kind of forgotten some of what you were trying to remember. Walking Dead has that same problem. They'll reference a character, or a character will show back up that you glimpsed, 3 seasons back, and you're like, well, who the hell is that? And that's kind of this problem here, and you don't know why you're supposed to care. What could be something really interesting if they just stuck with it for an episode or so? Like if they gave us an entire episode, or 2 episodes back to back, which was just this and nothing Red Hood wise. Then by the time we get back to Red Hood, okay, cool. We've spent the time with her. We've built that up. We're good to go. Now let's do something else. But they just don't do that. And you're jumping around too much, and it's not stable ground to me. So I mean, they could. That's really the only direction that you can go is what you brought up. Which is part of the series. That's part of how they do things. So I mean, I think that's what they will do. It's just I think it's a bad way of storytelling. But what else are you going to do with 50 characters and adding more?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I actually like the cast that they have right now. Like I get what you're saying when you have like 50 million characters. I do see what you're talking about. I'm not discounting that, but I mean, I do like a lot of these characters. I'm actually glad Raven's back. I didn't think I'd miss her, but now that she's back, I actually like her. And they are trying to spin a lot of plates right now, but I feel like that this will be in service of them all coming together at the end. Now, I do agree with you about Starfire, that her story so far has just kind of been, what the hell is going on? Because it's not been a focal point, nor has it even been remotely resolved in this season. We've gotten backstory, which I am totally okay with, but still, like, I feel like this is going to lead into season 4. And honestly, I feel like this story would have been much better served leading into season 4 rather than being built up through season 3 and then into season 4. I feel like by the time we get to season 4, we're going to be done with it.
One of the things that I feel with the Starfire character, and again, it has nothing to do with the actress, and I know there's some people out there who will strongly disagree with what I'm saying, but one of the things that I feel about Starfire as a character is I feel like they've really shafted the character. Gar is the same way. Every time he's on screen, he doesn't really do much. He's just there, and that's Starfire is the same way. And I feel like with her, the story could be strong. It has the potential to be strong, but I think you're right. If they were to save the story arc for like maybe the last 4 episodes of this and really build it up to then lead into the next season, that would be great. But I mean, ultimately, over the past 3 seasons, what really has Starfire done? Not a hell of a whole lot outside of the Cadmus arc, which really did nothing for Gar. What did he do? Not a whole lot. They really haven't brought much. Raven did. So my thing is with Hawk and Dove, they had their arcs, they had their time to shine, and then they left. So anyway, I'll quit rambling. Go ahead, Matt.
No, it's good. I mean, this is good. I want to get your opinions on, because you haven't joined us for every review that we've done so far, but I feel like it's important for us to go back and get your perspective. So when we go into this episode, we know exactly where you're coming from with a lot of the stuff that's been building up from this point on.
Okay, so can I say what my position on the Starfire?
No, Gary, you can't.
I disagree with with the thing. I'm going to respectfully disagree with both of you. I think it's important because we're getting more character development, because we're going to understand more about Starfire's character, that she wasn't blessed with the power that's innate to her species' royal family, that they lied about it in order to make sure that she's the next queen, because they knew that there was things wrong with Blackfire's character. And again, that is great character development for her, because again, she's now realizing that there's things about her character that we didn't know before, which is that she didn't have the powers that were with the Tamaranian royal family and stuff like that. So it's great to see that. I mean, I wasn't really sure what the hell that blue light was, but I was like thinking, oh, is this maybe what her true power is? Is that she can shoot this blue light out, and it's maybe like a redemption power or something like that. And maybe the character that what's the word, that lady, that baby that lady was carrying is tied to her past, that maybe like, she has the powers that Starfire is supposed to have, and but she's got a different kind of powers, and now we're trying. Now that is part of her character development, is how come she doesn't have the power? This is the interesting part of why does she not have the power? And there's more character development that could be explored down the road. So they're building that up. Now, I will agree with you. In the past, they haven't done that. I'm just saying they're setting the story out to tell some good stories about Starfire going forward.
I think.
Sorry, I went on a bit.
No, I think it's an interesting story. Don't misunderstand. But I think it's the equivalent of, like, you can have a gourmet chef that has a wonderful meal, but if you're only given little nibbles of it at a time, spread out over 3 hours, you can't tell that it's a gourmet meal. You're just like, it was okay. And that's kind of what they've done with Starfire. Like, what they have is a really interesting concept and really great things, but the fact that it's so spread out and you're jumping all over the place, I don't feel like it's giving the character enough service and enough time and giving me the reason to have that investment. If they had just waited till maybe the last 4 episodes and then said, okay, here we go, now here's her time to shine, I think that would be Jason, no. That would be that I think would be a better service to the character arc, and it would give everyone the attention that they need. So it's not that I hate it; it's just I don't think it's doing the character a good service.
And I mean, the other thing is I don't mind backstory and stuff like that. Like, I like the Starfire actress. The only time I didn't like the Starfire character, is in season 1. I really thought that she was kind of. It just was really weird how they used her in the beginning, and I was like, I didn't agree with it. Season 2, she was definitely much better, and season 3, this season, I like her, the actress and the character. I just don't like the story they're putting her in. It is the slowest of slowest burns of a story ever. Like, I mean, this is like Lord of the Rings extended edition style. Like, season 7 is going to come out, and we're finally going to get resolution to this. So I don't like, Gary, I think you're kind of misunderstanding what we're saying. And we're not saying we don't like this story. We're just saying, like, this needs to be put somewhere else where it can get its true potential shown.
No, I get what you mean. That all you're getting from it is snippets. I get what you mean. That all we're getting is these little breadcrumbs and stuff. And you'd rather that it was a focus of, let's say, like, per episode, let's say 5-10 minutes, where they focus on this particular story. I get what you mean on that, but you got to understand that there's 7 characters that they've got to focus on, so there's only so much they can play. But I do agree with you. You're making fair points about this. I just disagree with that. It's not an interesting thing. Ooh, what's going on?
Oh, we got a clone of email. Oh, it disappeared.
No, but I get you. Anyway, let's progress.
It's that internet, man. It's screwing up on me, man. I apologize.
Yes. Sorry. Anyway,
all right.
Let's talk about this episode.
So this episode, we had a lot going on at the beginning of this episode. I kind of had to bring up a little bit of a review just to organize, like, my thoughts and stuff like that. So so we'll start off. So in the beginning of this episode, we have Jonathan Crane finally doffing or getting rid of the beard. So, the beard that's been there since the beginning that made him the true stoner above them all is now gone. Kind of reminded me of E-Man's beard a little bit, but now he hit his face. He's embarrassed.
It's the beard, man. I can't let you see my beard now. It's my tricks, man.
But yeah, so I mean, that's finally gone. He kind of looks weird without it. Is it Zam who said he looks like Haley Joel Osment without it? Like, I kind of agree.
I agree. Yep.
I agree.
I'd say I would say to the beginning. Do you like we've been saying, like, he's been like Hannibal Lecter for a lot of this? That isn't the character that I'm going to compare him to now. The character I'm going to compare him to now is Patrick Bateman from American Psycho. Because when he's doing the whole thing about shaving the beard, and when he's going like through the tire collection and getting the right one, and when he opens up the box with, I think it must be with his with his gear in it. He pulls it up and you see the stuff in it. And you're just like, and he looks at the stuff and he's just like, this very Patrick Bateman-esque, and his performance throughout this particular episode was very American Psycho. You know, that he's hearing voices, that he's what's the word? That he's hearing voices and stuff like that. I don't think that. The way he's having the hallucinations and he's hearing the voices and he takes what people are saying to him to heart. It's very Patrick Bateman-esque. Again, I thought there was a little bit of divergent from the character, and that's one of the things I had a bit of a problem with. Was there were some really good bits, like when, like, you know, he's like, you know, he's saying himself in a doom for the and then when he kidnaps the pizza delivery guy and stuff like that. I know we're a bit forward, but we usually like jump all over the shop and this. But when he kidnaps the pizza delivery man to torture him and stuff like that, it's like thinking, I didn't think that Jonathan Crane was this. It was this flaming self-doubting, considering what he's been like for the rest of this season. That's kind of one of the problems I had with it. But on the other hand, he was really great. Like, you know, he was great and stuff like that. And he was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of iffy about his character in this. I don't know how you two feel.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. No.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. I agree. This felt like a departure. I kind of agree with Daniel Vance. I feel like the beard carried all the weight to the character.
I agree.
It felt like when he lost the beard, he lost some of the character. It felt like it wasn't the same guy that we've been watching for the past couple episodes. Maybe if they had him like this the entire time, it would have been, you know, just fine, and that would be what we've, you know, come to care about. But, you know, we've kind of come to care about this character over, you know, the 7 or so episodes, and it just didn't feel the same way. And the way he snapped, I didn't care for it. The way he kind of killed the pizza delivery guy, I don't like the way he kind of snapped that way, and I don't. It felt very off in a way that it just felt like the writers were like, it felt like the writers just were like, we need to have him snap. Let's just have him do it. We don't care if it makes sense or not. You know.
Yeah, I really feel like the characterization they're giving him has really been a disservice to the character. You know, recently. So yeah. I really feel like that they're putting him into his own madness, which he's supposed to be privy to because he is a genius psychologist. So, I mean, you know, I don't know why they would do this to him, where they would, you know, make him into this genius psychologist, and then make him and then all of a sudden now he's becoming this hallucinogenic psychopath. And it's like, I feel like he should be more like the Riddler, like he's above this, like he knows of it. So
I feel like he would be the type of person who would listen to Batman's assessment, and then you know, he would think he's above that, and he would be above that, but he would inadvertently trip himself to where at the end of it we would realize that Batman was right, and at the end of it he would realize that Batman was right, even though the entire time he would be, you know, he would cast off Batman's assessment and be like, nope, don't care what he has to say. And then in the end, Batman would be right. And that's the way the Scarecrow would be. Riddler would be the same way. He would treat Batman as if, you know, Batman's completely wrong, and then trip himself up. And that's the way Scarecrow is, because he is such an intellectual. This really did a disservice to the Scarecrow character, and especially the guy we've come to know as this version of Scarecrow.
And I do want to highlight really quick what Scarecrow found when he Googled himself in the Bat computer, and I have it here. Jonathan Crane always needs a proxy to do his dirty work. The Scarecrow was the only strong part of Crane's personality. Crane was pathetic, a coward, a tragic villain in Gotham, someone who has nothing without his alter ego. So it's like, oh, like I'm listening to that assessment going, you know, I feel like he put that on there just in case if Crane ever did listen to it. Because, like, wouldn't it be funny if Batman planned that far ahead where he's like, well, if Crane ever does get into the Batcave, he will listen to his own profile and he will hear this. So he's like, I want to make it set, like, I want to make him off kilter.
See, the thing is
I thought that too.
Sorry, but for the last, I don't know how long I'd here, I've been saying he needs to put the mask on. He needs to put the mask on. He needs to put the mask on. And it's like this episode addressed why he will not, because Batman has basically brought up the fact that he hides behind the mask because the Jonathan Crane persona, if we're going to call it persona, isn't strong enough, but the Scarecrow one is. And I found that fascinating. And again, there were parts of this whole thing that he was doing that I did find fascinating. As I said, it was just because it just felt a little bit, disconnected from the guy who was poisoning the water supply, who's been manipulating Jason Todd, who was manipulated behind in his prison and stuff like that. But considering that he's a complete mental breakdown nutcase, I can understand why something that Bruce Wayne would say about him would affect him like that. And I think that, we get to see that, that it has affected him because again, but I don't know. It's one of the ones that I'm quite divided on. I quite like some directions where he addresses why he's probably not going to put the mask back on because, Bruce Wayne said he was pitiable. But on the other side, where the hell did this come from? It just felt a little bit out of left field for my personal taste. But saying that though, the performance he gives in this is great. Like when Brady breaks down and he's talking to himself and stuff like that, it didn't feel like Gollum-esque, but it felt very like he was double talking and stuff like, you know what you were doing. I was like, oh my god! And then when he started cutting his own face, I was like, what the hell is he doing? Yeah. I thought it was actually going to do with Joker.
That's where kind of when he got Gollum-esque and he's cutting his own face, like that's where he kind of lost me. That's where I was kind of like, okay, I don't like where this Scarecrow is going now. I feel like he's just kind of divulged into this psychopathic mix between the Joker and Two-Face.
He's someone that's not the Scarecrow, and he's not Jonathan Crane, and he's someone that's not anything that we recognize. To me, I would love to see, if you're going to use Jason Todd and you're going to use him to destroy Gotham or whatever, to me, I personally would do the one thing. If you've fallen this far and that's the storyline you're going with, why don't you simply do the one thing that you don't think Batman would do and state Batman's identity? State to Gotham. They've been
dancing around that all season.
I mean, everyone else seems to fucking know who he is, so why don't you just go ahead and do it and be like, fuck it, Batman thinks this of me? Screw it. Hey, Bruce Wayne's Batman, check all this shit. I'm in the Batcave. It's underneath Wayne Manor. Here you go. I mean, because that's the one thing, like, no matter what Batman says about you, that's the one thing you can do to him that he can't recover from that. That's the one victory you'll have.
Daniel Vance says, Crane is a man who uses a concrete drill to try to dig through a feet of steel. He's the same with everything, trying to smartly put a square peg in a round hole. Well, look, I don't kink shame, but whatever you're into, buddy. I mean, And Carl says, hi, hey. Okay, so I know we've talked a little bit about Jonathan Crane and all that, and I mean, I felt like there wasn't exactly too much left in this episode to talk about with Crane besides the pizza man, him going back and forth, like all that stuff. I mean, we've kind of touched on all that, so I want to move on to what one of the other storylines is in this episode, and that's going to be Tim and Donna, Tim Drake and Donna Troy. So this was an odd pairing in this episode. It strangely worked for me, but I don't necessarily think it was good.
I do think it was good.
See, I wasn't as fond of it when Hank wasn't there to kind of buffer between them. Donna kind of seemed like. All right, okay, hold on, Gary. I kind of felt like that Donna was the stuck-up mom a little bit, and then I actually met Tim Drake's parents, and then they're all concerned about their son, hanging out with whoever this lady is. I mean, if I ever brought a hot lady like Donna Troy home, my mom would probably be proud of me, but not his parents. I mean, they're more concerned. The shop and everything like that, things have been ransacked. They don't have any weapons. again, it's another issue of the Gotham PD being bought out and kind of doing Scarecrow's bidding, which to me does not feel like that's where they're going with Scarecrow. Like Scarecrow feels so disconnected from the GCPD right now that he's not even like, I don't even know what the cops are doing with like Jonathan Crane right now. I feel like they just did that there to add tension, to lock down the city. So yeah. So anyway, so apparently Tim Drake has this like secret hideout, which is awesome. And this is the part that I kind of like about Tim Drake is in this season for me, they're doing Tim Drake very, very well. I really feel like they're doing Tim Drake justice and him figuring out that Nightwing is that Dick Grayson's Nightwing, Jason Todd is the new Robin, Batman is Bruce Wayne. Like that's how it happened in the comic books, and I always like the way that was. Tim Drake has always been the detective Robin, and that's what I like about what they're doing here because this Robin to me is awesome and game on. So I mean that's kind of a summary of what they're trying to find. They're trying to find Nightwing through all of the internet and or through the surveillance and stuff like that. So I really felt like that this was definitely I really am liking where they're going with Tim Drake. I also am oddly curious about this whole healing thing. He like woke up from his coma or whatever, and he was healed. I don't know. I mean, where they're going with that, I guess. It seems a little weird for me. Like, but I mean, he seems to be walking around pretty fine after being shot straight through the back to the chest. So, I mean, it was a through and through. So, I don't know what's going on there. And then just before we move on to you guys, I felt Dick went overboard with Connor during the kryptonite dust. That was okay. Well, we'll get to Dick and Connor here in a minute. But yeah, I agree with you, Daniel. Okay, Gary, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I disagree because I love their chemistry for a start. I think they got the two, maybe the two actors, the actor and the actress have great chemistry, but the characters themselves have great chemistry. Like I love their interactions. I love the fact that I wouldn't say it's more mum, but I would say it's like more like big sister and like little brother sort of like relationship. It's like she's looking out for him, like he's just come back and stuff like that, and like. I love their dynamic, and I love the fact that she goes with him back to his parents. His parents are very concerned, and he shows her like how he figured out that who Batman and Robin were and stuff like that, and who Nightwing was and all this stuff that he's been like surveilling and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, where did you get this stuff? He went on garage sales and stuff like that. I was like, that's pretty cool. That's very clever. We see how he's methodical and stuff like that. He's like got the detective side of Batman down. I really like that bit. And also, we got to see the sort of person that Donna Troy is. That she's very protective of him. And she also there's I won't say this. It's not massive, but there's slight romantic chemistry there. Not massive. I'm not saying it's huge that they're going to start banging on the table. I'm saying that it's slight. It's like that's slight. But they obviously have great chemistry. I love seeing them together, and I love the fact that we get to investigate more into Tim Drake as a person. In this particular episode, we've got to see his family dynamic, and also we've got to see.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, finished.
No, I was gonna say I agree. I love the way they're doing Tim Drake. That's it.
I think Tim Drake was a character that brought me into comics, and the fact that this is the first live action Tim Drake. And who would have ever thought that we would get a Tim Drake origin? And one that they're taking their time on. And they're doing it justice. And, they're making him the detective, the true heir to the Robin mantle. One that's deserving of not a hero mantle, but the Robin mantle, which is my favorite superhero. It's my kid's favorite superhero. And I love when Jason finds him a few episodes back when he gets shot. And he's like, what were you doing? And he's like, looking for you. And he's like, why? He's like, I want to be Robin. That right there was so heartbreaking to me. Because it tells you everything you need to know. He's already done all the detective work. You find that out with the stuff he talks to Dick. Even when Dick goes down into the sewers or the subway system. You know everything you need to know about him. But the relationship he has with Donna, something that I would have been, unexpected. the chemistry is there. It's almost the same type of relationship that Gar has with Raven. A great relationship. And I think with Dick kind of being more hostile toward Connor unintentionally, but it's very Batman-esque, much like Batman always has kryptonite for Clark. Dick is going down that Batman path, and I think he needs, Tim more than ever at this point to kind of pull him back, like Bruce does. They both of them need Tim Drake because Jason is too far gone. They both need Tim Drake, that human aspect, the one that looks at both these heroes as what they are, heroes. Not men, but heroes, because that's what they are. That's what Gotham needs. So the fact that they're taking the time with this story, which is what we were talking about earlier, I wish they would do a Starfire, but they're doing it justice with Tim. And I'm so happy that they're doing that with my favorite hero in all of comics. I am so blessed to watch this season. Regardless of the other things that I don't care about with this season, I love that they're doing that with this guy. I love it. So that's my take.
So I have a question for you, V-Man. If are you talking about Robin as a mantle is your favorite, or like just Tim Drake's Robin is your favorite? If you're listening,
He's muted.
I know he must be doing something. A little. If you're listening,
No, my internet kicked out. What happened? What'd you say? My internet was glitching. What's that?
Okay. I was asking: is Robin like your favorite hero, like the mantle, or is Tim Drake's Robin your favorite hero?
No, Tim Drake is. It wasn't until I was 11 years old that I realized that there were different Robins. And when Tim stepped up to be Robin, the first comic book that I ever read was a Tim Drake Robin story. And it was about this. The beginning of the story was Batman and Robin are chasing these burglars, and they're both in the Batmobile. And the burglars are shooting at the Batmobile, and of course the bullets can't penetrate it. And they crash the car, and the burglars run, and they run into this amusement park. And Batman and Robin, of course, chase the burglars and tells Robin, he's like, hey, go up ground and watch, and you can watch everything from above and keep me posted. And Robin's like, okay. So, and instantly he goes up and starts watching out for these burglars. And while he goes up top, there's like this big, it looks like the Daily Planet globe. And he's keeping lookout for Batman, to see if he can find the burglars or crooks or whatever they are. But while he goes up there, there's this guy, this guy with a gun, like a shotgun. And Robin instantly starts talking to this guy because he doesn't know anything. And you find out that this guy is suicidal, and he's ready to take out some people in the park. He doesn't even care who. But Robin finds out that this guy's lost his job, he's lost his family, and he's ready to just off himself. And Robin talks the guy down from being suicidal. And at the end of the comic, like, Batman didn't even really need Robin, but Batman rounded up the crooks, and at the end, Batman kind of walks over to the globe as Robin's kind of walking this guy down. And Robin's, puts his arm around the guy and gives Batman the gun. And he's like, hey, I'm going to make sure this guy gets the help he needs. And Batman's like, okay. And Batman cracks a smile as Robin walks off with this guy. And the kind of thought bubble that Batman has, Batman's like, I chose well when I chose Tim. And my mind was like, wait, who the fuck is Tim? Because I didn't even, in my mind, I was like, all I knew was Dick Grayson from the old Batman TV show. And so that, put in my mind, I'm like, there are other Robins. And that was the first comic book that I ever read. And I've got 2 copies of it. One I'm going to pass to my son, Royce. And I bought an extra copy that I gave to my little brother that I was like, hey, man, if you ever doubt heroes, here's one. But the whole book, Tim didn't even need the costume because he was just being a decent person. The costume didn't matter. And that's one thing that this season has shown with Tim. He doesn't need the Robin costume. He's already a hero. He just doesn't realize it yet. And that's what I love about Tim Drake. I love the Robin mantle because it's about history and legacy, but Tim Drake is the character that brought me into comics. He is my Robin. And that was the story that told me that. the heroes don't need capes.
Yeah,
You know.
and just to piggyback off of that is, actually Nightwing. Dick Grayson is one of my favorite DC characters, but Tim Drake is my favorite Robin. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, and honestly, like, screw Damian Wayne. Jason Todd was whatever, but like, yeah, like my favorite Robin is Tim Drake. He could be Robin for the rest of his life, and I would be okay with it because you're right. Tim Drake is the best Robin, and I've always thought that. A lot of people are like, "But what about Dick Grayson? He's original." No, Dick Grayson was good as a Robin, but when he became Nightwing, he became his own character, and he became a good
Yep.
character.
He surpassed. He didn't needed it. Like the thing is, and this is my personal stance. My favorite. I loved 1 year later when Tim came back and he was in the red and black outfit. You know, because that showed he had matured. And when Bruce Wayne died, and they had the whole battle for the cowl type storyline, but there for a few issues, it was like maybe 3 or 4 issues. It was just Tim that had Gotham. Nightwing wasn't around. Red Hood wasn't around. It was just Tim. And it was him decked out. He hadn't become Red Robin yet. It was just Tim. And it was him in that red and black outfit, you know, that he had since 1 year later. But it was him, and he had stepped up into the role, and it was him basically, you know, kind of taking on the responsibility of, fuck it, Gotham's mine now. I have no choice but to take on this role. And it wasn't until Damian came by. Go ahead, man.
No, I was just going to say, well, the thing is that I've seen online that certain people have been complaining about the casting of Tim Drake in this particular.
You know what? Tell him
season.
to fuck off.
Yeah.
You know what? Like,
because
tell him to absolutely
right,
fuck
for
all
those,
the way off.
right, I'm going to explain why, right? Because some people are saying that Tim Drake in the comic books is not African American.
No, you know
and
what?
this guy is.
Okay, well, they can fuck all the way off. That's exactly my thought process on it. I mean
I think this guy's a really good actor, and I think he's doing a really good job.
Exactly.
That's my opinion.
Like, if he was a bad actor, then I'd say, well, it's like a pretty bad casting.
But here's the thing, though, and this is my personal take, and I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. Ask my wife. Nick Fury was white for how many years? Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until Ultimate, Marvel, I think Ultimate Spider-Man, that he became until he became African American and looked like Nick Fury, and then Nick Fury, and it was a nod to Nick Fury. And then in the Marvel universe, Nick Fury played the role. But he was always before Ultimate Spider-Man comic book.
Before.
Yep. But Ultimate Spider-Man was in the comic book. Ultimate Spider-Man was the first time that he was portrayed as African American. So it's one of those things where it's like, to me, mm-hmm. and again, this is just me, as long as they keep the core of the character and the essence of the character true to what the character is supposed to be, I'm okay with it. And they have. Everything about this character screams Tim Drake.
Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, going the opposite end of it. A guy, Michael Clark Duncan playing the Kingpin. I thought he was fantastic as the Kingpin. Like that was one of my first instances where they casted a black guy as a white character, and I was like, really? Why? He's white in the comic books. Why is he black now? And then I saw the movie and I ate my words completely up. And from I
thought Michael Clark Duncan was really, really good as Kingpin.
That's what I mean. He was good as the Kingpin. So, all right. Well,
he's not Vincent D'Onofrio, but he's a different actor. So, no.
Well, no, and I thought he was very good as the King. That's what I mean. He was very good as and originally I was like, why they're casting this black guy as a white character? Back in this is back in 2003. Okay, so I was pretty ignorant back then. I still am, but not as much. So but I mean, and I saw it and I'm like, wow, I really like Michael Clark Duncan as Kingpin. And I mean, I ate my own words. All right, so
and the thing is that I want to talk about how they treated Superboy in this. They treated him like he was a horny teenager.
Okay. Well, okay. So then I guess we're moving on. We're moving on to the next section, which would be Dick and Jason. So I mean, yeah. So in this section, really, I mean, it's mostly about Dick Grayson trying to do a workaround with the Wayne Tech computers and stuff like that, and trying to get a hold of the rest of the team, trying to defeat Jason. but Dick is more focused on bringing Jason down rather than bringing the team back together. Whereas Connor is more like, hey, Blackfire was shot. What's going on? I get it. I get it. He's worried about Blackfire, and he doesn't know what's going on. He's Superboy. He can do whatever he wants. I think Dick is unnecessarily grounding Connor, and I don't know if that's for story purposes or just because they don't know what to do with him in the writing room right now. Because he is OP. He's OP, and there's ways around that. But at the same time, I don't know why they're grounding him as much as they are. I really like this Superboy.
This is something I didn't care for.
Okay,
and I'll explain why. Because the thing is that they could have got the Kryptonite ring, but again, we'll forget that for a moment. They could have said maybe Jason in an effort to combat Connor, he's cased his whole outfit in, let's say, Kryptonite paint, layering, you get Kevlar, but maybe he's put Kryptonite over it. Boom, and that'll explain why. And that's why Dick knows. Hey, we can't out you up there because you could die because this guy's literally caked himself in things that will kill you. And again, boom, gives us instantly something that we know is part of Superman's weaknesses, and it's something that we know that it could kill Connor. So I understand that. To be honest, as I said, this is one of the bits that I didn't quite care about. I didn't care for the Saw-esque, computer screen, look at each other like, I will find you, Jason. No, you won't. I will plan your death. If you face me, you will die. It's just like, really? We're going there, are we? Really? It's like, why is this little pretty pants not going to get his ass kicked?
One of the complaints about the past few seasons is they keep learning the same lesson over and over and over. And here we are in the third season, and we're learning the same lesson yet again. We're a family, we're a team, and we have to figure out how to work together again. At the end of the first season, we came together. We got our little group hero walk, down the alley or whatever it is, and we're good to go. End of season 2, we all come together. We got our little superhero walk, slow-mo, and we're good to go. And I'm sure at the end of this season, we're going to have our good old slow-mo walk where we all learn to walk to, work together and learn whatever. The problem is you're learning the same lesson, and it's taken you an entire year worth of storyline to get to the same point you were at the end of the last 2 seasons. They really need to explain things better. Personally, I do like the idea of him blowing the dust in his face, but I would have rather him have done that and then say something like, if I can take you out this easily, think what Jason could do. And what did he do to Hawk? You're not coming. Something like that, where it shows him continuing going down the path of Batman, and just a line like that. You don't have to have any more motivations. You don't need to have a 15-minute conversation. But dude, you can't just have him blow the dust in his face, the pixie dust, and then walk away. And what he did to Crypto, man, fuck Dick Grayson.
Yeah, right.
But it's one of those things where it's like, yeah,
go ahead, man.
Yeah,
I was just so saying,
come on, man, Crypto.
Yeah, as I said, I liked aspects of the fight between Jason and Nightwing, where they're using explosions, they're using the tactics that Batman would have taught them and stuff like that.
Yeah,
to hide in the shadows, and then to disappear and reappear and stuff like that. I thought that was awesome. The only thing I didn't like was that these fucknuts of the enemies or the citizens of Gotham, he goes, we're doing this for you. How the hell is he enamored the entire citizens to him inside a week, if not 10? I understand if, let's say, for example, he was doing stuff day after day after day after day, and he was proving himself, and everybody was loving him, and then they put out these content campaigns and stuff like that. But we've only seen one video. We've not really seen him do anything that would initiate this sort of like ranted irrational love where somebody's willing to kill for you, and
Yeah.
you know, and then the distraction, Red Hood, Red Hood, Red Hood. When I beat the shit on flaming poor Nightwing, I was like, what the hell does this come from? This felt a little
I
bit all
agree.
left with.
No,
I said last episode that I do agree that people have turned, but also the factor of whatever's in the water, if that's even still a thing, like that I think is also kind of turning people into kind of fuck nuts. So I mean, it's kind
if
of that's why I think there's a little bit
they have
of a twofold play. Go ahead,
they
Vance.
have hints of no man's they have hints of no man's land in this. The problem with where the storyline has gone early on in the season, the storyline was great because they took their time, everything was being fleshed out, we were looking at the world through whatever. But part of the problem as we've gone along is there's no sense of time. Part of the thing that would help this out is after the water was done, and the pipeline was broken, as if they had done okay, and they brought the military to guard the gates. If they had done like okay, 6 months later, a time jump, something like they did in Gotham between season 5, where it was like, look, nobody's come in, nobody's gone out, and now it has a reason for why all the why Gar and Raven are in street clothes, why Starfire's in street clothes, like because I'm sorry, but over the course of 3 days. Oh God, we got to be in street clothes. Why? You guys overpower everybody. Like, what are you talking about? Like, Superboy could wipe out half of Gotham, and you're telling me that you guys are fearful of this shit? Like, to me, I don't buy it, and it's just one of those things where you just don't want to explain it because it adds tension. To me, the Nightwing that that stepped up and was the leader of the Titans at the end of last season would look at this and say, okay, everybody is to my tactical advantage. This is what we are going to do. And the more that the situation gets out of his control, the more he would try to control the situation and say, okay, no, this is the tactical thing. This is what we're going to do. That is what Batman would do. He would use everybody like pawns. That's why he has so many Robins. To me, this is a failure on Dick's part. Because again, he tried to do everything by himself last season. That's why he got stuck in jail, which is an unresolved storyline still. How did Dick Grayson get out of jail and never answer for how he got out? But again,
Because
we've learned this lesson. Why are
Uh-oh, I think I broke him.
I was about to say
hold
something,
on.
but
We got our clone of V-Man back.
oh, hold on.
there I'm back again. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was going to say
the reason why there's no resolution to Dick Grayson going to jail last season is because he's Nightwing. That's it. All right, go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, but the thing that was unbelievable was the fact that Dick Grayson, who is a police officer, crowd controlled that whole mob. It's like that's literally what policing 101 is. You learn crowd control, how to control a crowd, how to do it in an affirmative one way. He deploys none of the tactics you see. And again, this guy's a detective. He's not just a street cop. He's literally a detective, which you have to work years to get to. He should know how to crowd control that crowd to get them to go away and go home. He shouldn't just turn his way and say, right, I'm going to deal with you now, Jason. He should let you go, blah, 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 blah. And then go off and he starts fighting Jason again. Or maybe Jason would dance in from behind. That could work as well. He's trying to manage this particular crowd, and he gets whacked behind. Just a suggestion. Sorry.
Well, okay. So just finishing up the Dick, Jason, and Connor stuff that's going on. It's definitely pro wrestling rules here, where it's Dick Grayson or Nightwing and Red Hood are having a fight, and then the outside interference comes in and basically lets it because Nightwing had Red Hood dead to rights right there. He could have shot him. Like he could have. Not that I think he should have, but he had him. Like it was done. And then the zombies came out of the ring and started to interfere in the match, and then the match was that's a reference for Gary, by the way, because he loves zombies so much. So yeah, I mean, I really liked the fight. I thought it was pretty well choreographed. It didn't have to be. It didn't have to be over the top because this is not the final fight of the season, like between these two. Um, but yeah, definitely the gunshot going through the neck of. I hate when they do this though, where it's like if a real person got like he's not superhuman or anything, but if a real person got a shot through the jugular like that, they'd be dead. They'd be dead in like seconds. They'd lose so much blood that they would just die. So like I hate it when they do that. Like I could see if maybe like the fans or the people started jumping Nightwing and he could and then he couldn't keep them off and he doesn't want to hurt them because they're just innocent people misled. That's more believable, and then they just like beat the living crap out of him. But I don't like it where they have him get shot in the neck and it's like, okay, he's like dead. Like I've counted 3 times that he's died like in this moment. Like what? So and yeah, there's just not. I don't know. That kind of perturbed me a little bit when we got to this. Vance, do you have anything to follow up with on the fight between Jason and Dick? Vance.
Okay, I think it clicked. What was the question?
Do you have anything else to follow up with the fight between Jason and Dick?
I think it was a good. I enjoyed the fight. I like the fact that I think if they had waited till just now to have Jason start to look at the reaction instead of earlier in the episodes, like I think a lot of us kind of felt the same way about the redemption arc. And I feel like if they had waited now till he sees like this oh shit moment and then runs off, I can kind of overlook the, hey, someone just shot Dick in the neck and he's bleeding out, taking the shit out of him. Like I can overlook all that and have Jason running off. Like I feel like now is the appropriate time to have him start having second thoughts.
Well, go ahead.
I do. What's that now?
No, I said go ahead. Go ahead and finish.
So I feel like it's good, but I feel like it could be better. I feel like all total, everything in this episode is probably about a 70 or 75. Or it could be. I feel like the writing should just be tighter. I feel like the story should just not jump around as much. And that should be about it. But I feel like the battle part, I feel like that aspect, I feel like for me it was very satisfying. And again, it would be better if we had spent maybe some episodes with, Jason actually being the asshole Red Hood of showing the control he has over Gotham in his grip, of being what we all had wanted, and maybe showing maybe Crane with the water showing, hey, he's got Gotham by kind of the psychology of like a cult type status, so it would make more sense for them to be like Red Hood, Red Hood, Red Hood. So that scares Jason because he's like, this isn't what I wanted, because Jason he's an ant. Go ahead.
I was going to say, well, the thing when he goes back to the Batcave and he sees the pizza guy with his chest all cut open, that was rather gross. And then you hear the voice, you're like, what the hell's going on? And you see all like these cuts all over his face. It's like, no more masks, Jason. No more masks. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And that's literally what I gasped out literally out loud. And when anything makes you do that, it's pretty well done. I mean, as much as I'm nitpicking the bad things, this was a really good episode. I think just because if I'm saying what the hell is going on, what the hell has he done? He's literally like carved out this guy's middle of this guy's chest, this poor pizza guy's chest. I mean, and I felt like this was him asserting that he no longer needs to be Scarecrow. He can now just be Jonathan Crane and be just as better that not be pitiful, if that makes sense. Not be what Bruce Wayne says he is.
Okay. Well, and
yeah, I would.
Go ahead, Vance.
I would say for me, every episode, despite how harsh I am on some episodes and the storylines, I would say every episode, I'm always looking forward to the next one to see where are they going, what are they going to do next. Like this is one of my favorite series that are on today. I used to feel that way about the Flash on the CW, but sadly that show has gone downhill. I feel, and that's the one thing that this. What's that now?
He's agreeing with you.
Oh yeah. It used to be like go back to season 1, season 2 of The Flash, and that was like must see TV. Even a bad episode, you could still take it and go, find the good in it, and that's where I feel that Titans succeeds. Is even even the characters that I don't care for, I still find enjoyment of having them around, and the show as a whole is great entertainment. Whereas these past 3 years of The Flash or 4 years of The Flash have just been utter dog shit. I don't find any enjoyment, especially the past 2 seasons. It is a chore to watch, and it'll be like 3 or 4 weeks before I even pick up an episode. And that's only because I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm tired of watching the news. I'll watch this. And I literally feel like I'm wasting my time. And that's one thing with Titans is I never feel like I waste my time. I always feel like it's a good show. And even characters that I never care about in the comics, like Hawk and Dove, I find myself caring about, or like Gar. I'm not a fan of him in the comics, but I like this character, even though I feel like he's underused. So this is a great show, despite how harsh I am on it sometimes.
Okay, so last but not least on this episode, towards the end, we did have a little bit more of Raven and Beast Boy, as you were just talking about. Great segue, Vance. So what we basically have is them using Raven's powers to find the Lazarus Pit. So they get to find the Lazarus Pit, and now magically Dick is in trouble. So my prediction is that Rachel's going to go get Dick, like teleport to him, grab him, bring him back to the Lazarus Pit, and put him in the Lazarus Pit. I really am not very fond of this idea. But we'll see.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll see. Either that or Raven's just going to heal him, which she can. But I really hate the idea of just there's this random Lazarus Pit underneath Arkham Asylum. Like they did that in Arkham City, and it was pretty stupid too. But go ahead.
But I'm going to respectfully disagree with you, because this is a moral dilemma for them now. Because the Lazarus Pit, we found out, alters your personality. When you use it, because it changes you to a slightly different person.
Yeah, I don't want Dick Grayson.
It could be that. That's what I mean. So maybe that is a decision and something that they're going to have to go through next episode. Just a suggestion.
No, I don't know. I don't.
You
want
reckon they're just going to do it?
I don't. If they do it, I don't want. No, I think they are going to put him in the Lazarus Pit, and that's the problem. I don't want them to put him through the Lazarus. Like Jason's already been through the Lazarus Pit. We've already seen what the Lazarus Pit can do. It's stupid to have a Lazarus Pit just hanging out in the bottom of Arkham Asylum, conveniently. It's plot convenience garbage for me. Yeah.
I feel like they're going to bring back
Bring back who?
I feel like they're going to bring back Ra's al Ghul for next season.
I hope not.
And I feel like that's what this is leading up to. Because I feel like they're going to do that, and then somehow that's going to lead to
that.
I mean, if maybe Deathstroke showing up like with Ra's al Ghul, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't want Ra's al Ghul really, because they did that on Arrow and it didn't work out so well.
If you got
if Liam Neeson, though, they'll be fine with that.
My only thing is, if you have a Lazarus Pit, bring back fucking Alfred. We need Alfred in this series. You need somebody that has a heart.
All right. Well, but I mean that pretty much wraps up the show for for this week. Overall, guys, let's do it really quick. I'm trying to wrap this up, around an hour. So, Bossman, give us your rating.
Out of 10, I'll give it a strong 7.5.
7.5. V-Man.
7.5. Same. Yep.
Okay. I would give this a solid 7, because I don't try to do halves at all, because I'm not a pussy. I don't go halfway.
You're not a halvesies?
I'm not a halvesies. But no, I'd give it a 7. Not as bad as last week's episode for sure, Not exactly the strongest episode. Daniel Vance gives it a 8 out of 10. Kept me engaged the entire episode. Well, and you know what? As I said, it wasn't a bad episode. 7.5 out of 10 is passing grade. So C's get degrees, baby. So anyway, with all that being said, I think we got 2 episodes left of Titans, so we'll be coming back next week.
Right, Vance, do you live like near? Do you work near like a street or something? Because I keep hearing cars outside where you work. Sorry,
those are from his work, but yeah.
No, it's forklifts.
Yeah, forklifts, not cars, but forklifts. He's got a drive-through stripper club. You know, they just all drive through and they're watching all the stripper clubs. So.
It's Frank's stripper pole. So
yeah. Yes. So speaking of Frank, I don't know where that transition came from. We just uploaded our Dark Side of the Ring review, which you can see this guy over here, Gary, a part of that, or I'm sorry, Mask of Madness, as well as Zam, Shredder, and D Jose as they break down this week's episode of Dark Side of the Ring. This weekend, I know we've got some other stuff coming up, and usually on Sunday, Gary and Zam have their football review, soccer this weekend in soccer. Yeah, so I mean we've got stuff always coming out. Everybody's seen it. We've got reviews on Star Trek. We've got reviews on Marvel stuff that's on Disney Plus. We've got just tons of crap. Fan film reactions, Zam's food reviews. So yeah, tons of stuff going on. But
I've decided.
Go ahead.
And also, I've decided to subject myself to the ultimate torture and review Monday Night Raw again.
Oh, and Gary's going to do Monday Night Raw. Good luck, my friend. V-Man, tell us where we can find you at, since this is also being shared on Nerd Nation as well as NerdTube.
Well, I am on No Budget Productions, Dash Filk Ferret Productions. We have a bunch of shows on there. NerdTube, where we do mostly fan films, but we also do reaction stuff. We do fan film watch party type stuff, and we interview a bunch of random people that have to do with fan films or musicians. Or here coming up soon, we'll be interviewing you, who is a person of interest in the community. So it's just a channel of interest. Might pique your guys' interest. So if you're so inclined, hop on over, join us, see if there's something there you like.
Okay. Gary, is there anything special you do, or you just hang out with us losers?
I just do wrestling reviews in which I get mad at Vince McMahon and his shitty product.
And you do Stargirl reviews, which we had a request for. Somebody was wondering where.
Which I will pick up again.
So anyway, with that all being said, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. If you're watching this live, if you're not watching it live, well, you can still rewind our wonderful faces here. V-Man, Gary, thank you guys for joining us thank you for joining me for this review of Titans, and we will catch you guys in the next one. Catch you guys later. If I can find the thing. What am I doing? And I just screwed it up at the end. There it is.